In today's video, I want to share with you the secrets of designing a professional looking website. So when we design websites, sometimes it's very easy to think that a website just comes together just by, throwing in colors and sizes and so on. But that's not the case. There is actually a method and mathematical formulas that make these websites look awesome. So this is what I'm going to show you today. But in this example, I am going to be using Divi and SiteKrafter because we definitely need a framework for us to achieve a professional looking website. All right, so let's just show you what we are going to be doing today. So this is a basic layout. You can see here it's got a hero area, but it may seem like this is just a normal site, but there are things working in the background here that makes it look the way it does. And this also applies to perhaps maybe a website like this. When we take a look at this, now I'm going to point out the things that make it look great. You're going to notice that the fonts are a specific color. It's a light gray here, and the headings are a specific color. And the spacing here is very consistent. This is also one sign that a website is a professionally designed website. You're going to see the uses of gray here, gray borders. And when we scroll down, you notice that, pretty much everything is very well spaced out. This is very, very important, as you shall see. Now, as we go through down here, you can see our text is a specific color. You don't see any other colors here. And you can see the consistency here. We have our gray sections. As we go down here, everything is spaced out correctly. You can see that even here as well. You see that? We have our grays, and then we have a dark section here. And when we go further down here, we're also going to notice that we have all our text. Everything is just pretty much working okay. And this is our brand color over here. So that's what we're going to try and achieve in this tutorial. So the first thing we need to do before we even start anything is to create a brand new WordPress website. Now, this website does not have Divi running on it. It's just a normal WordPress website. So what we need to do is to first of all install Divi. So you want to head over here to elegantthemes.com. Now I've already logged into my dashboard, so I can just go ahead and click on download. Now I've already downloaded. If you haven't purchased Divi yet, I'll leave a link to that in the video description below. Divi is awesome, and it's also coming up with a new page builder called Divi 5, and this is built from the ground up. Anyway, so I'm going to close out of here and let's go ahead and install Divi. Okay, so what we want to do is come over here to themes. And we need to upload our theme by clicking over here and upload theme. Next, we're going to click on choose file, and the file we need is this one right here. This is the latest one I downloaded. I'm going to double click on that and then click on install. Now, while this is installing, I also have a community that you can go ahead and join. It's called Divi University. This is a community for anyone that uses Divi, who wants to get inspired and also work and get some tips. This is absolutely free. You can just go ahead and join. And as you can see here, this is a proper community where everyone is asking questions, sharing ideas, and so on. So go ahead and sign up. It is absolutely free. All right, so back over here, this has installed. I'm going to go ahead now and click on activate. Okay, so now that this is activated, that's pretty cool. We need now to add SiteKrafter. This is our framework. So I'm going to open this in a new tab so you can just see that this is a normal Divi install. Now, what a lot of designers do is they start designing after installing Divi. Now, there's a lot of things missing here. First of all, you can see here that our font is not set up. Our colors are not set up. And to prove that, I'm just going to come over here so I can show you where everything is. So if I go over here to theme options, we have our default colors here. This is not what we need. This is not what we want. Okay. You're going to waste a lot of time going in here, changing whole colors and so on. Again, if I come over here to the theme builder, you can see there's nothing in there. There's no 404 page. There's no search results page. If you start designing like this, you are definitely going to have a design that does not look professional at all. So the question now is, how do we save time for us to get us to a point where it is at least a very good starting point? Well, this is where SiteKrafter comes in. This is a framework that has all these areas here installed for you. So you have your theme builder installed, your 404 pages, and so on. Now, I don't want to talk too much. Let me just show you quickly how we install it. So I'm going to come over here, and then we're going to go to plugins. Click on add new plugin. So once you've purchased SiteKrafter, and by the way, I have a 40% discount at the moment. Now, once you've downloaded it, you want to come over here now to upload plugin and then choose file. Okay, now this part here is very important. Even some guys that have downloaded SiteKrafter sometimes forget this step. So when you download SiteKrafter, you get this file called Open SiteKrafter 5.1.5 Pro Zip. Okay, this is not what you want to install. If you do this way, it doesn't work. Okay, you want to unzip it. Now, when you unzip it by double clicking it, you're going to get this folder here. Okay, so in this folder now, you want to go in, and this is where you find install plugin SiteKrafter. Okay, so this is what we want. I'm going to double click on that, and then we're going to click on install now. Okay, so as this is installing, I mean, it's a quick install. Now you can click on activate plugin. The next step now is to go in and set it all up. So over here, you click on open SiteKrafter. Okay, so there are a few things that it does for you. It sets your home page. Again, all this is, saving you a lot of time. It also has a menu for you done, Divi settings done for you. And then when we scroll down here, we have these plugins. Now, these plugins are very important. I use these on each and every website. So the first one here is your anti-spam bee. If you're running a blog on your website, this is going to save you a lot of time because it's going to cut out all your spam. This one here is for email marketing automation. So if you want to add emails to your WordPress website, Fluent CRM is the one. Fluent Auth is a security plugin. So if you have a website that people are logging in and so on, definitely you want this plugin. Fluent Forms is a form plugin. And then this is analytics for your website. If you want to see, how many people are visiting your website and so on. And Rank Math is your SEO plugin. So I'm going to disable these for now because I'm going to use this for demo purposes only. So I'm going to go ahead and disable that. And then I'm going to go ahead now and click on begin site import. Okay, so while this is importing, what we're doing right now is to save us as much time as possible and make the designing of websites really exciting. Because as you can imagine, if you want to go in and make all these customizations, it's going to take too much time and it's going to it's going to frustrate you a lot. All right, so now that we have this, you can see here, this is what we had before. If I refresh this, you're going to notice now that we have all these done for us. Okay, and when we go to our website, you're also going to notice that we have a menu here and we have our blog page, for example, and we also have our search results page and so on. Okay, so now that we have this, what's the next step? Well, this is where you want to add your colors. Okay, your brand colors are very, very important at this stage. So the tool that I use is called Coolors. So I have my colors here all set already and ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is to copy my first color. This is going to be my brand color. Okay, think of the red that you see in Coca-Cola or the blue that you see with Barclays Bank. Okay, so that's my main primary color. I'm going to come over here. So before I continue on, I just want to come over here to plugins and delete this plugin because we don't need it anymore. Okay, I'm going to delete, deactivate, and then delete. All right, great. So what we're going to do now is to head over to appearance and then click on customize. Okay, so customize, this is the area that we're going to spend a bit of time now to make sure that all our settings are global. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go to general settings and then we're going to go to layout settings. So first things first, primary color. Let's go ahead and change this because this is what comes in by default with SiteKrafter. So I'm going to paste my first color and then we're going to go to secondary color. So our secondary color now is going to work as our call to action color. At least this is the workflow that I found was easier with Divi. Okay, so this is going to be our call to action color. So let's go ahead and add it. I've just copied it, then I'm going to paste it here like that. Great. All right, so while we're here on our layout settings, I'm just going to go back and go to typography. All right, now remember, I mentioned that with typography, we have pretty much grays. Okay, you have your dark gray for your headings and the lighter gray for the text. That is perfectly fine. Now, if you're advanced, you can go ahead now and start adding color to that. But the grays, you can work perfectly fine with those. And that's what we're going to do in this example. But let's start off by adding our link color. Okay, now remember, our secondary color is going to be our action color. So I'm going to paste it here as well. Now let's go to our body text color. Okay, so this is where you can change things around. I mean, you can, set it to a different color here if you want to go with a lighter gray, and you can see it changing over here. So keep an eye on here. So this is where it is being updated. Okay, so you can just go with something like that. I mean, this will work perfectly fine. And then you want to do the same for your heading text. So if you want to change your heading text, perhaps you want quite dark. Let's go with that. That's perfect. Okay, next. Now, This step is also very, very important because this is where we get to add our header font. Okay, so we're going to come over here and choose Poppins. Oops. And we're going to scroll all the way down here until we find Poppins. Okay, but in your case, of course, you want to choose your own colors that work well for your design. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then I'm just going to make sure that this is set to bold as well, so that at least I don't have to do a lot of clicking later on. When it comes to my body font, Inter is perfect. Okay, I'm okay with Inter. So at least now I've set up everything across the whole website. I don't need to touch any fonts anymore as I'm designing my website from this point onwards. I'm going to hit publish, and pretty much we are good to go. All right, so now that we've done this, the next step now is to take a look at our website. So I'm going to click here to visit site. All right, so this is our main homepage. So we want to get rid of all this and start from scratch. All right, so let's enable the visual builder now. So the first thing we're going to do is to get rid of this section, and then we're going to start off by adding a single column. So what I'm going to do throughout this is to use our Divi framework, and to find our framework, it is right here. We're going to go to dashboard, and let's go to pages. Now the framework reference is right here. I'm going to click on view. Now it's always a good idea to have this open, because whenever you forget your shortcuts, you can always come over here and take a look at them. Okay, so for example, the first thing we're going to work with is our text. Okay, across the whole website. So you can see here, if you want to activate fluid text, you have to type in SK in our advanced CSS. You shall see in a moment how that is done. Okay, so now that we have this open, we don't need the colors anymore. That can go, and all this can go. Okay, so let's start off by copying a bit of text here, which we're going to use on our website. So I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to paste it in here. Now, the really cool thing about this is I can literally go in and specify where I want my text to be. So the first one here can be normal text, and then this here can be heading 1, because I want this really, really big. Okay, and then this here, I'm gonna get rid of it and then enter it on its own. Why am I doing that? I want to show you something really awesome here. All right, so now that we have this, of course we want all this centered, so I'm going to highlight all of it and center it. You can see here the text is quite small. Okay, so what we want to do now is to come to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and if we add SK, now we have fluid responsive text just by doing what I've done, entering that SK. Okay, and this is where the fun begins. So I want to start off by saving this. Now let's add another text module. Okay, now notice what happens. The text comes in small again, right? So I'm going to paste my content like that. And again, like how we did before, we are going to center it. But this time, I want this to be a description, right? So we know that we have our general fluid text here. And we have text large, we have text extra large. Okay, so let's go with text large. Okay, that's what I want my text to be, because this is more of a description. I'm going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then enter text large. But you can see now it's not really looking as big, okay, until I put SK. So what we want to do now is to make sure that if we are going to be using fluid text across the whole website, we want to make sure that we enter our class, which is SK, and then just make this the default preset. Okay, so we're going to create a new preset from current styles, and then we're just going to say main dash text, and then assign the preset to default, and then say save. So what is going to happen now is every time I add new text on my site, it is going to be fluid and responsive. Okay, so let's delete this and do it one more time. So we're going to click on this plus button, text, and just like that, now we have our fluid text. Okay, oops. So let's add our description again. I'm going to come over here and we're just going to grab a bunch of text like that, and then we're just going to paste it. Okay, so you can see here it's fluid, and I'm also going to center it, right? So now when we come over here to our framework, we can choose text here. Maybe we want this to be large. Okay, I'm going to copy that, come back over here, go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and now I can set it to large. And remember, we have all our shortcuts. I can make this bold as well. You can see now I can make it bold. How do I know that? Well, it is right here. We have our font weight. Okay, so this is mainly for consistency purposes. All right. Okay, so I don't want to add bold, so let me just get rid of that. Excellent. So far so good. I think we are progressing. I just want to get rid of a bit of the text here, okay, just to balance things out. All right, so now that that's all set, I'm going to save that. Let's move on to our next item. So we are now going to add a button, and notice the color that it comes in. We don't need now to go in and change any colors, whatever, because the colors that we set are already, set for us. Next, I'm now going to center it. So I'm going to come over here, alignment, and center. I may also want to do a few things here. Perhaps maybe add some margins. Now, margins are very important in design, and this is what makes your website look professional. So let's go ahead and start playing around with our margins. So I'm going to come over here to CSS ID and classes, and I'm going to say margin dash top, and let's make this medium. Okay, so you can see now I've entered my margin. Now, the question is, okay, so now that we've entered this margin, is it responsive? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. So let's just stylize our button here quickly because we want it to look really nice. So we're going to come over here to button, use custom styles. Now I'm just going to fly through this quickly. So for our button background, now remember those global colors that we set initially, here they are. And always remember, secondary is your call to action. Boom. So that's my button right there. And then we're going to come over here. And we're also going to go for our button color. So for our border color, it's going to be that. And then let's head over to our button text colors. Okay, there we go. Just like that, I have my button. And just to make things easier for me, I'm just going to come over here and create new styles. And I'm going to say main dash button. And you only need to do this once. Set this as your default preset. And now we're going to fly throughout this design, and it's going to be very, very easy. Okay, so now that we have this, the next step now is to add our background image, because this is very, very important. So I'm going to come over here, click on this third tab, click on this plus button. So our images here are already in the media library, and the one I'm going to use is, should we go with that one? Okay, let's go with this one. Double click on that. Oops, looks like I'm in the way. I'm going to click upload image. And you can see now it's in the background, but we're not done yet, because what we really need to do is to add contrast. And again, this is one of those principles that are very, very important in design. So contrast is very important. So to achieve that, we are going to come over here to our background and add black as our background color. Back over here to our image, we need to come all the way down here and change our blend mode and set it multiply. Okay, so now that it's on multiply, oops, we now need to go back to our color, and then we're just going to drag this down a little bit so that it just shows just a little bit of our background there, okay, of our image, and then save. And then finally, we just need to change our text here, make it white, and pretty much we are good to go. So we're going to come over here on design, text, and then we're going to scroll down here, and you can see here text color is set to dark. We're going to change this to light. Okay, now that's easier to read. Okay, let's save that. Move on to the next item. Click on that, design, text, and then we're going to scroll down here and change it from dark to light. All right, excellent. So far so good. We have now our hero image, and it's looking great. Now, when it comes to our section padding, if we go in and enter it manually, you're going to have a problem because it's not going to be fluid and responsive. So for our sections here, we're going to come over here and fluid responsive margins. So you can see here, these are our margins, but what we need is our section. Okay, so where is it? Okay, there we go. Fluid and responsive sections. So this main one here is going to be our hero section. So that's what we need here. So all we need to do is to click here on this gear icon, go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and now we're going to set it as our hero section. And you can see things have definitely changed. Okay, so what we need to do next is to make sure that our sizing here is correct. Now I know I've done my spacing here already on my button. Now let's move on to the next item here. I'm going to click and add my margin top. Now remember, I added margin medium. So this time I'm going to say margin top small. Okay, we're going to do the same for this one. In fact, this one here is fine. And then we're going to save. Now we need to move on to our next section. I'm going to click on this plus button, regular. So we're going to start off with a single section, and let's add some text in here. All right. So we need our texts. So again, I'm just going to copy a bunch of text like that, and we're going to come back and paste it. Now, what I normally like is, as I'm designing, each section needs to have some sort of a description. Okay, and my descriptions, normally I use heading 3 like that, and already you can see that it has taken on the size, which is brilliant because I don't need to keep going in and adding all my sizes. Or you can do it the other way around. You can have a bit of the description on top, and then this becomes your main title for the section. Okay, so let's get rid of this, and all we need now is to center it. Boom. Okay, centered. Now let's go ahead and hit save. Now moving on, before we continue, let's go ahead and set my section, make sure that it's fluid. I'm going to come over here and say large section dash. Okay, a large section. Fantastic. And then we can add our row. So in this row, we're going to add a blurb. So let's go ahead and enter it. Right. So we are going to need a bit of text in here. So I'm just going to copy a bit of text and paste it like that. Okay, now we also need a title to that, so we're going to again copy a bit of title here and paste it over here. Okay, great. So now that I have this, you notice that our text all of a sudden is now small. This is a blurb, so we want to make sure that all our blurbs have responsive fonts, okay, or responsive text. So we're going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, SK. Look at that. So as you can see, I'm not going to go in and touch any text sizes at all. I'm just going to continue on with this design process. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to just make sure that this is the default, create new preset from current styles, and then I'm just going to say default blurb, because I don't want to be going in and entering, you know, SK everywhere. You know, as soon as I get a moment to enter it, I'm just going to go in and enter it. Okay, excellent. So now let's go to icon and let's see if we can find location. There we go. So I'm going to go with this one. Now notice that it's coming in with my brand color. Now, isn't that awesome? So this again is going to save me a lot of time as I'm designing my site. All right, so now let's go in and set our size. I'm going to go with 2 rem, which is like 20 pixels. Now that's what I normally start with, and then I just increase and see what works best. So I think I'll go with 5. Okay, which is 50. Okay, now it comes to the text. It needs to be centered. Boom, it's now centered. We're going to save that. Now, if this is how we are going to want to have that, we can always go in and update our preset by just coming over here. And now my preset has been updated. Okay, so at this stage now, I can now go in and duplicate this however times that I want to for my site. And as you can see here, this looks much better. Now, the text here is a bit too big, so I may want to change that. So let's go back into our blurb here. And as you can see, you're making these decisions as you're designing, and this is the actual process that you need to be doing this. So I'm going to go to title text and set this to heading 6. So I think that looks much better, right? And I'm sure you can agree with me. And I'm just going to make sure that this becomes my default. So I'm going to update my preset by coming over here, and you can see now it has been updated. Okay, great. So this section is done. Now, while we're here, there's something that really annoys me, and that is this row comes in with its size, okay? I mean, with its padding. So there's also a shortcut called no padding. So let's go ahead and enter it here. So I'm going to say no padding. Oh, no dash padding. You can see now that there's no padding. So now I can enter my margin top, and my margin top is going to be medium. Oops. Excellent. So my margin top here is medium. I'm going to save that. And then over here, I'm going to remove the padding as well. So I'm going to come over here and say no dash padding. Great. So my sizes now, or my padding, is going to be consistent now because everything is going to be clear. Now, in fact, I think I may need to change my padding here to large. Okay, I think large is better. Great, so that looks much better. And then I can always go in and change the icon here. So you can go to image and icon, and we can filter these by going to solid icons, and then we can just choose what icon we need, okay, and so on. Okay, next we're going to add another section. Now this time we are going to utilize our grays. So I'm going to click on regular, single column, and I'm now going to go in and add the gray background because I want to distinguish my sections. Now, while I'm here on the sections, I'm also going to come over here and say CSS classes. I'm going to set this to large dash section because obviously our sections differ in sizes as we are designing. Okay, great. I'm going to save that. And over here, I'm going to have 2 equal columns. And in the first one here, I'm going to add an image. And let's select our image from our media library. And we are going to go with this one here. Move myself out of the way. Click on upload. Okay, great. So we have our image here and now we need the text to go with it. So again, I'm just going to come over here, just get a quick description of what we have here. Text is what we need. Select it and then we are going to paste it. Right. So now that I have that, I may need to increase the text that we have. And so here we're going to set this to heading 3. Now you notice that as I'm entering my heading 3s and so on, this is pretty much going to be consistent across the whole website. Let me add another paragraph here just to balance things out. Okay, boom. All right, so that looks great. I'm going to save that. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, well, where are we going with this design? I mean, is everything really responsive since I haven't gone in and literally typed in the sizes of my text in the different views, my mobile view, my text view, my mobile view, and my tablet view. All right, so let's save this. And what we're going to do is to exit the builder and just see what things look like out of the box. Okay, so let me just drag myself over here. Now, of course, there's a few things I need to go in and customize, but we'll do that in a moment. All right, now do you see my text as it's getting smaller and smaller? Everything is pretty much, the right size and everything looks great, but I haven't even gone in and touched any sizes for my text. Everything has just been pretty much me just entering my content. Now over here I can see there's too much white space. We need to clean things up a little bit. So this is where now we're going to add more things from our framework, because from our framework here there's also things like responsive padding, there's responsive margins, there's border radius. So we need to start utilizing all that. So back over here I am going to go into this blurb. Okay, so I'm going to use responsive padding for this. So first of all, I'm going to come in here and say padding dash large. Okay, I just want to see what things look like. Now you notice that I've just added back my SK because things changed. Large may be a bit too much. Let's go with medium. Medium. Okay, great. So now that we have this, I'm going to now come over here to my content background and add this gray background. Now, do you see now how things are starting to change? All right. So while we're here, I like what that looks like. I'm now going to come over here to CSS ID and classes and add some rounded corners. Now, if I've forgotten how to add my rounded corners, I can just come over here to radius. Okay. So I want radius. I'm going to copy radius medium and just enter it. Okay. I can see it has been added, but if you want a much darker gray, you can always go ahead and do that. But I prefer, a very subtle application of it. Now with that selected, I can also go into my borders here and enter my border width, which is going to be again a very slight color, and we're going to go with that. Now do you notice that everything now looks really, really clean when I do that, right? So if you want, this could be a way that could really bring some structure to your website, but I'm sure you can see how these grays are now starting to work on our website. So with this, you can also continue on, and this time we want to do something different and something with our brand color. Okay, and again, the way I'm going to do it is by coming over here to my row settings. We're going to go to background, global, and remember this is our primary color, that's our brand color. So that's how we're going to be entering my content. Now with the row selected, I'm also going to come over here, CSS ID and classes, and I'm going to make sure that my radius is set to medium. In fact, let's go for large. Okay, so you can see here it's large, but if that's a bit too much and you want something subtle, we can go with medium like that. Okay, that way all our radiuses across the whole website are going to be medium. Okay, and while we're here as well, we're going to say, in fact, we don't need, well, we might need padding. So let's go with padding dash large. Okay, now we're going to start our design and see how this is going to look. So we are going to go with 2 columns. And here we're going to have an image. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, upload image. Okay, great. And then over here, we're going to have text. And I'm sure you can guess this. Our text needs to be white so that it really stands out from the background. I'm going to copy that and paste it. Okay, great. So now let us just make sure that this becomes our heading, and you guessed it, it's going to be heading 3, and that's going to be the description. Okay, so now to add a bit of contrast, the text here needs to be white. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to the text, scroll down here, change it from dark to light. Okay, now everything is easier to read. Now remember, we have our section here to work on, so we're going to go to background and we're going to use one of these dark colors. We're going to go with that or even this. It's up to you. But what's important here is we need consistency. So we're going to say large dash section, like how we did before. And as you can see now, everything is starting to come together, right? So we have our main hero area here. And when we scroll down, well, now we have a blurb here, a different style to it. But of course, you can apply the style to all these, the rest of these too. Okay. And when we scroll down, you notice that we have our gray, which is separating our sections. And then we have this very dark one. Yep. And we can continue on by entering even more. So this time, let's go with regular and text. Do I have any texts that I've pasted in here? Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do again is to set this to heading 3, and we want all this centered. So I'm going to select everything, center it. Brilliant. So that's my text. I'm going to save that. We also need another section. So we're going to click here and we're going to go with single section. And this time it's going to be all right. So with our testimonial selected, we're going to add a bunch of text here like that. And for our background, for consistency, I'm going to use my own color like that. Now, while we're here, there's a few things I don't need, like on the elements here. I don't like the quote. I'm going to go in and add my image, and here it is. I'm going to say upload image. And while I'm here as well, I'm now going into my advanced tab, ID and classes, and I'm going to say padding dash medium. Okay, and I'm going to set this to SK so I can have my fonts to be responsive, and border radius, and that can be, let's say, medium. Okay, I know you can't see clearly, but it's very, very subtle. So with that all set, I can now go ahead and save that. Okay, I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to come over here like that. And you can see they're one next to another, which is great. And I can now go into this one and change the image. So let's go with this one here. Great. All right. So now that I have all this, now you always should remember that we want to set our sections here. So I'm going to come over here to advanced. This is ID and classes. And I'm going to say large section. Okay. And you can see in a very, very subtle way, our background and our gray elements here are really, clean, and it's really, really well laid out. Okay. So the final thing that I need to do now is just to make sure that I don't have padding here. So I'm going to go to CSS ID and classes and say no padding. And this is to my rows. And then I'm going to say margin dash top, and I'm going to set this to medium. I mean, I can even go for large if I wanted to. But the good thing is I know that whatever I'm going to design here is going to have consistency across board. So for this one here on the top row settings, this one here can just have no padding, and that's it. Great. Okay. So as you can see, I mean, it's a basic testimonial section, but it is very, very clean. Here we have the usage of our brand color, and throughout here it's very clear to see what our brand is because it's shown here on the icons as well. And our call to action is also very, very clear here. Okay. Now for this, I may need to add some padding around this. I just have to play around with this. So I'm going to say padding large. Okay. and save that. All right, so I'm just going to save this one more time, and we are going to exit and take a quick look at this design. All right, so now when I make this smaller, you can see my text here is responsive and everything looks great. Look at that. So throughout all this, I did not go in and touched any font sizes or any padding on each and every section or each and every module. This is how you maintain consistency throughout. So any other page you create, you're going to have your H3s with the same size. Everything is going to be fluid and responsive, and all your padding and all your margins are going to be the same across the whole website. And this is how you achieve consistency throughout your designs. And you can see here that it's clean, it's very, very easy on the eye, because things are just the right sizes. Okay, and even that brand, you can see it, coming in, and it's very clear to see that we have a brand color here. So as you create other pages, you can always go in and show what the other pages look like. Now, for those of you that haven't purchased SiteKrafter, I have 40% discount. Link to that is in the video description below. Go ahead and check it out. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.